Hello guys, in this video what we are going to do is we are going to create this progress steps that we commonly see in forms or in a shopping cart kind of environment, and we are going to create this using simple HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So this is in continuation with the series that we are doing, and it is 50 projects in 50 days by Brad Traversy. So this is taken from his course as well, and the we will be using a template for coding, and we built it the previous day. So if you want to check that out, the link is given in the cards above. So do check that out as well. So let's get into the video. So we'll at first remove the h1 tag, and we'll add a div with a class of container, and within that div we'll add a progress container. So in this progress container we need that div with the we need that progress bar to show. So we'll create a div with the ID of progress and a class of progress as well. And we'll just leave it like that. Beneath that we'll add the steps for the progress bar. So we'll create a div with a class of circle, and it will have a class of active, and based on the class active the circle will show different colors. So we'll create that, and we'll give it a number of 1, and we'll paste it 3 times to get 3 steps, and we'll remove the active class from others, and we'll change the numbers from 2, 3 and 4. So when we save that, you can see that there is the four numbers. Now what we'll do is we'll add the 2 buttons. So button with the class name of btn, and we'll give it a name of previous, and the previous is disabled by default, and we'll add another button called next, and it's not disabled. We'll give it an ID as well. So we'll give it an ID of next, and we'll give this an ID of pre. So let's save that. So we can see that the 2 buttons are here as well. So now let's just make this better, look better by adding some CSS. So at first we'll just change the font here. We'll just change the CSS to we change the font to this, and we'll change that here as well. Now when we save that, we'll save that, and at first let's just change the background color of the body. Let's make it a little more dark. Something like dark grayish or something. Yeah, this works. This is a little bit more dark than the previous one. Now we'll add some styling to the container that holds everything, and we'll just add a simple text align, and we'll make everything center. Now we want to set the styling for progress container, and in the progress container we want everything in a row and not just like this. So at first we'll display it as flex, and when you do that it aligns everything every children in a row, in a flex row. And we want to give it a specific width. So we'll keep max width as 100%, and we'll give a fixed width of say 350 pixels, and we wanted to take the whole space here. So what we'll do is we'll justify content, and we'll give it a space between so that everything is evenly spaced. You can see everything is evenly spaced now. Now we'll give it a separation from buttons in the beneath. So we'll add a margin bottom of say 30 pixels. Now if there is a bit separation between the two, so we want to position it as relative, because we want to put the content within this div as absolute. So we'll position it as relative. Now what we'll do is we'll add the progress bar that is in between the number. So it's basically just a div that we made in the HTML, the progress div, and based on the width the progress bar will change. So for that we just add some styling to the progress div. So what we'll do is we'll add a background color to that progress bar. We'll give it a color of background color of 3498 dp. So we'll give it this color, and we will position it as absolute. And we want it from top 50%, and we want it from left 0. So when we save that, we can't see anything here at present. So we'll set a height and width. So say we give it a height of 4 pixel, and we give a width of say 50%. Now you can see that a blue line has appeared, but you can see that it's not exactly in the middle where we wanted it to be. So we'll give it a transform property. We'll do it a translate y, and we'll give it a value of 50%. So now we can see that it's aligned perfectly in center. But now you can see that it's above the number, so we want it to be behind the number. So what we'll do is we'll give it a z index value. So when we give the z index value, when we give the z index value of -1, it sends that particular object behind the number. So now you can see that number is in front and the line is behind. So we'll set the width to 0% and by default. So when we click next, it will dynamically increase, and based on that we'll set the width. So we'll just save that. Now you can see the number is gone. So we also want a transition property, because we don't want the progress bar to move abruptly. So we'll give it a transition of 0.4 seconds with the ease in ease. So when the width changes, it's not update and it transitions smoothly. So this is the progress. Now we want the gray line that runs through the middle. So uh, that shows the empty progress bar. So we'll copy the whole thing and we'll go above it and we'll paste it and we'll make this as a progress container and we'll give it a pseudo selector as before. So when we do that, and the pseudo selector before needs a content tag, so we'll give it a tag content and we'll give it an empty string and we'll change the color here to a dark gray or light gray, something like E0 E0 E0. So when we save that, nothing happens, but when we change the width to 100%, you can see that a gray line appears. So when this gray line is there and when the width is 10%, it basically acts like a progress bar. So we'll just save that. Now we want to style the numbers or the div circle. So we'll select the circle div with a class circle and we'll give it a background color of white. You can see there is a small white box behind the number, and we'll set a height and width property. So we'll say height 30 pixel and say the width is 30 pixel. Now it's there. Now we want it to be a circle, so we'll add a border radius and we'll give it a value of 50%, then that makes a circle. So now the number is not in the center of it, so what we'll do is we'll give it a flex property, then we'll justify content center and align item center. So now you can see that the numbers have been aligned perfectly in the middle of the circle. A border. Now we want a border for the circle, so we'll add a border of say 3 pixel that is solid and has a color which is same as that of the empty progress bar. So we want the same empty progress bar color, and when we save that, you can see that the circle has been colored. Now what we want is we want the circle when it is active. So when the circle is active, you want the border color to have a different value. So border color as the original color, which is the blue color. So we'll give it the same blue color which is similar to that which is same as that we gave earlier. So we save that. You can see that the active div with active class of has been changed to blue color. Also we want a transition property. We don't want it to change abruptly, so we'll give it a transition of 0.4 seconds and we'll give it ease and we'll correct the spelling of transition. We'll save that. So now we'll style the buttons. So we'll select the class of button btn, and we give the font family to inherit, and we'll give it a font size of say 14 pixel. Yeah. Now we'll give it a padding. So we'll give it a padding of 10 pixel on the top and bottom, and we'll give it a padding of 30 pixel and in left and right. That it's now it's bigger. So we'll change the background color. So background color, we'll set the main blue color that we were doing, and save that, and see it's blue. We want the color to be white, I mean text color to be white, so we'll give it that value. Now we don't want the border here, so we'll give the border as 0. Oh, it's not there. We want border radius though. We don't want the square divs, so we give it say 6 pixel. Give it a border radius of 6 pixels. So now it's a bit rounded. Yeah, that looks better. Now when we click this button, we want a small transition. So what we'll do is we'll use the selectors. So button, and when it's active, so what we'll do is we'll give it a transform property, and we'll scale by a margin of 0.98. So now when we click on the button, you can see that there is a small animation kind of thing. So when the button is clicked, there is a small activity. So when the button is disabled, we don't want this color, so we'll change that. So .btn, and when it's disabled, we don't want the background color to be this, so we'll change the background color to be of the line color, which is E0 E0 or EE, and we want to change the pointer, mouse pointer, so we'll give the cursor as not allowed. So now when we hover it, it will show not allowed. Also we will change the cursor of the normal button as well, so we give here a cursor pointer. So yeah, now it's better. Also when the button is when the button is in focus, you can see that there is an outline, so we'll just remove that. So dot button, and in focus, and we change the outline to 0. Outline to 0. Now there's no outline there. So yeah, that's it for the CSS. Now we go into JavaScript and build the functionality. So to do that, first we'll get all the elements that we need into the JavaScript file. So at first we'll get the progress bar, const progress, document dot get element by id, and the id here is progress. And we want the previous button with an id of previous. We want the next button with the id of next. We want all the circles, which is basically a class. So we query selector or with a class name of circle. So we have brought everything into the JavaScript file. Now we'll put an on-click listener, an event listener to the button. So next dot add event listener, and the action here is click. When the click action takes place, this function is called, and in this function what we want to do is we want to track and update the progress bar. So to do that, first we'll initialize a variable that tracks the current active state. So a variable current active. So in the beginning it has a value of 1. So when the next is clicked, we want to increment the current active by 1. So every time we click that, we just console.log current active. So every time we click that, the number increments. So when we click next, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we want to limit that to a particular value. So what we'll do is we'll do a conditional check. So if current active greater than circles dot length. So basically circles is a node list of all the elements with the class name circle. So in this case it has 4 circles, so 1, 2, 3 and 4. So if current active is greater than the circles dot length, so we want to set the current active as circles dot length. So now when we press next, we go to 4 and it will stay at 4. So we have set the we have tracked the progress state. Now we want is we want to do the same for the previous button as well. So we'll do a previous dot add event listener, and when we click that, we want to decrement current active, and if current active is less than 1, what we want to do is we want to set current active as 1. So that's done. Now what we want is every time we click here, we want to update the progress bar. So every time we click the button, we will call a function called update, and sorry about that. Every time we click the button, the update function is called, and we write that update function in a bit. So this update function will basically this update function will update the DOM status and make sure the width is same as that of our steps. So in the update function, first we want to update the active class in the circle. We want to do that, and then what we want to do is we want to update the progress bar, and then what we want to do is we want to change the button enabled and disabled state. So to do the first part, we have already gotten all the circles classes. So we'll do circles dot for each, and in here we'll get each circle and its index, and in here if the index is equal to current active, we want to, if the index is if the index is less than or equal to current active, then we want to add the class, or say circles dot class list dot add, and we want to add the class active, else we'll just remove the class list of active. Save that. So now when we click here, nothing happens. That's because cannot read the property of add. So that's because we have given circles here. It's not circles, it's circle. Let me save that. Now you can see, so it's not happening, so something's error. So on one click itself we are getting 3. Okay, so that's because the index starts from 0, whereas current active starts from 1. So it's not less than or equal to, it's just less than. So now when we save that, you can see it just increments one at a time. So we have added the active state here. Now we want to do the logic for updating the progress bar. So to do that, first we want to get all the circles with the active class. So what we'll do is active circles equal to document dot query selector. Selector, or with the class name of active, and what we'll do is we'll console.log the total number of active classes, length of that, and we'll divide it by the total number of classes with the circle. So it's circles.length. Okay, so when we do that, what are we getting here? So we'll just click next. we are getting 0.5, 0.75, 1, and but that's not so let's just do that. So if we give that this value to the progress width, so how we get that is progress dot style dot width equal to circles dot length into 100, because we want it in percentage, because width is in percentage, and we want to give the unit as well. So we'll do the string concatenation and add percentage there itself, and we'll just comment or remove this console, and then we save that. And when we click next, you can see that it has directly jumped to the 50% mark and not stopped here. So in order to change that, what we'll do is we'll decrement by 1 here, and we'll decrement by 1 here as well. And now when we click here, the progress bar is working as expected. So the logic here is when the active circles, this is an array, so it starts from 0th index and this as well. So in order to change that, we have decremented by 1. So now the progress bar update is working fine. Now we want to enable or disable the button state. So if the current active is 1, we don't want the previous button. So previous dot disabled equal to true, and else if the current active is equal to circles dot length, we want the next to be disabled. Else, whenever the state is, we do not want previous or next to be disabled. So we'll set previous disabled to be false and next disabled to be false as well. Save that. So now when we click next, the previous is enabled, and when we reach the final state, next is disabled. So this thing, this small widget itself is not, it's not something game changer or something, but it will help in some way or the other. So if you learned something from this video, let me know, or hit the like button or something. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you guys in the next one.